Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.
All right, guys. Good afternoon. Good evening. Welcome to another Live Wire Sports Media. So, I'm gonna just get right to it. Elle Duncan. You can never ever be disappointed with Elle Duncan. I mean, the fact of the matter is because she's Ellen. Sound like Ellen DeGeneres talk show. I mean, the thing about Ellen is she continues to be like Sinead Umake, waver from one side to the next when it comes to Caitlin Clark. Um, she 1 minute she's talking good about Caitlin Clark, next minute she's trying to diminish Caitlin Clark. Next minute she's trying to say, well, this didn't happen because of Caitlin Clark. You know, when we had the whole situation with the draft just past weeks ago, she tried to jump from 2025 all the way back to 2003 just to skip the whole 2024 impact and everything like that. It's like, and then you know how she started out last year talking about, well, the new fans is messing up for the WNBA. You know, it used to be so peaceful and all of that, but you was the same person like others who've been crying and complaining that you wanted more eyes on the sport. You wanted more people to talk about the WNBA. So when you get that, you can't handle it because you try to push everybody, try to push everybody away, and you can't do that. Because see, the fact of the matter is, with all the rookies that come in, and this year and last year, they have fans. They have their own set of fans. So therefore, the fans that y'all have was by just people want to watch the sport. It's not like y'all had came in with this big pop or big following. See, all these young ladies from Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Cameron Breen, Rikia Jackson, Paige Beckers, all of them, they have their own set of fans. They already had that. But now we look at the impact that Caitlin Clark had last year as a rookie, and then when her name was getting put into the MVP category, guess what happened? Oh, she shouldn't be in the category because she just came into the league. She hasn't done anything. You know, let her grow, let her go through it. Stop trying to rush her and all of this stuff like that. We heard all of that. But guess what? Caitlin stick to what she did best. It came in, and show out on the court. See, she had a rough first half of the season, but guess what? Her second half of the season was record breaking. You know, she was breaking records in the first half too as well, but she had rest. And then her name got in and she was fourth in the MVP voting. Because guess what? I'm gonna kick something to y'all real quick before I get to Ellen's little video. If Caitlin Clark had rest before coming into the WNBA, if say for instance Iowa did not make it to the Final Four, and say Iowa got put out in the Sweet 16, Caitlin Clark would have had over a month of rest to get her body right. And if she had walked into the WNBA still the number one pick, going to Indiana, having that rest, I guarantee you not. Caitlin Clark would have put up better numbers across the board than Asia Wilson did, and it would have came down between her and Asia Wilson because she still would have put her team into the playoffs. Where Asia Wilson and her team started fumbling in the second half at the end after the Olympic break. So therefore, and then you think about this: if she had a month off going into the season and then had another month off after the second half, come on, do you really think she would not walked away with the MVP? See, this is the thing that they get caught up in all the time. Ellen Duncan, Sinead Umake, all of these others that partake in ESPN is that they don't know the game. They play the game, but they don't know it because they just talk. They talk. They don't understand how good Caitlin Clark is. They say she's good, but then they try to like sweep it on the run because they scared of reality. They scared of looking themselves in the face and say, "Damn, I was wrong," because they don't want to admit that. Ellen Duncan came with this notion today, and I had this conversation too on X as well because I know for a fact what's going to happen when Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever wins the title. Oh well, she had a super team. Oh well, she needed this person, she needed that person. Then if she doesn't win it, they can say, well, she can't lead a team. She had all of this talent and she still can't get it done. I don't heard it from the Michael Jordan era. I don't heard it um from Kobe Bryant era. I don't heard from football player eras. I don't heard it so many different ways, different ways. But see, when teams that have stacked teams do it, oh, well, they're the greatest in the world. They're the best player in the world. Oh, they're the greatest college player of the world. But it's always an exception when it comes to the person that who is the greatest player of all. And now we have this conversation going into this year about the MVP, and they know who's going to be on that MVP lookout. It's Caitlin Clark. Her name is already second odds to win it. But guess what? Here's Ellen's response to that.
Yeah. Question for you, and you tell me, and then we're going to run the tape and see if you were right
Perfect.
7 months from now in October when all these things are crowned.
Perfect.
I feel like I know where you're going to go with this one. Caitlin Clark will win MVP.
That's a fact. Elle, she was as close to the second best odds to win it last year. And I think after we came out of the All-Star break, she had a couple of games where I think she was sort of like the favorite to win MVP. And this was no disrespect to obviously Asia Wilson or Nafisa Collier, and obviously Wilson, pulled it down the home stretch and got another one. But Caitlin Clark being in that very, very short list of second best odds, third best odds, and I think that's where she actually finished in her rookie season. Yes. New coach,
Okay.
new veteran players. Yes.
To be clear, there was never a time where she was the favorite to win MVP. There was a time after the All-Star break that she made it an interesting conversation because it was a runaway train for Asia Wilson the entire season.
I
Then
disagree.
post All-Star break, I mean, Nafisa
Oh, I'm gonna end up starting that over again because I gotta stop that real quick. She sit there and say there was never a time Caitlin Clark was a favorite to win MVP because Asia Wilson was the runaway favorite. Do you know it became down to a three-man race at that time between Asia Wilson, Caitlin Clark, and Nafisha Kohler? Yeah, they was talking about Asia Wilson the most in the first half of the season, but what Caitlin Clark did going into the break got her name put into the MVP conversation. Ellen Duncan. See, this where you wrong again. This is where you don't understand facts and stats. You don't understand it because you don't look at the numbers. You just look with your eyes. Let me replay it again.
Yeah.
question for you, and you tell me, and then we're going to run the tape and see if you were right
Perfect.
7 months from now in October when all these things are crowned.
Perfect.
I feel like I know where you're going to go with this one. Caitlin Clark will win MVP.
That's a fact. Elle, she was as close to the second best odds to win it last year. And I think after we came out of the All-Star break, she had a couple of games where I think she was sort of like the favorite to win MVP. And this was no disrespect to obviously Asia Wilson or Nafisa Collier, and obviously Wilson, pulled it down the home stretch and got another one. But Caitlin Clark being in that very, very short list of second best odds, third best odds, and I think that's where she actually finished in her rookie season. Yes. New coach,
Okay.
new veteran players. Yes.
To be clear, there was never a time where she was the favorite to win MVP. There was a time after the All Star break that she made it an interesting conversation because it was a runaway train for Asia Wilson the entire season.
I
Then
disagree.
post All Star break, I mean, Nafisa Collier's the one that finished second, but it became
Yeah.
more interesting. It's like when Jokic is the undisputed guy, and then all of a sudden you see a guy like put together a really great half of the year, Shea Gilgeous
Hmm.
Alexander last year. So then all of a sudden the conversation becomes more interesting. But like they
Yeah.
took the odds down. I mean, it was Asia Wilson's to lose. But I will say a couple of things. Do I expect Asia Wilson to be Asia Wilson again this year? Yes. But I also know there is such a thing as voter fatigue. They don't like giving anybody MVP 3 times in a row. They barely like to do it 2 times in a row, let alone 3 times in a row. I just don't see it simply because of voter fatigue. Like it just
Yeah.
is what it is. I also think that Caitlyn was putting it together in such a way last year. They're only going to get better, and now they've got a full off season together. I could
Hmm.
100% see this.
All right, so you heard that nonsense, clear nonsense from Ellen Duncan. She's like, well, Caitlin Clark was never in the running. Her name was called. She was in the MVP voting. She was in that conversation. So why you said that she never had a chance when her name was there? This is the thing that pisses me off with them because the fact of the matter is they continue to make excuses for anything Caitlin Clark does successful. If she wins the MVP, oh well, it's voters fatigue. She wins it by default. Well, she won the WNBA championship. Oh, she won it by default. She had a stacked team. Well, guess what? She didn't do it by herself. Let's put an asterisk by her name. It's always these kind of excuses that's going to come up. So if she wins the MVP this year, it's all because of voter fatigue. That because it's not Asia Wilson's fault that y'all voted for her 2 times and gave it to her 2 straight years. Because last year, if Caitlyn didn't win it, hell, they should have gave it to Nafisha Collar. Because Asia Wilson saw Nafisha Collar balling her ass out the second half of the season, and she felt threatened. She felt threatened as soon as Caitlin Clark name became in the mix. So let's not play in all of these games because the fact of the matter is that so what they did, they just went and gave Nafisha Collar the defensive player of the year because they knew they robbed her out of the MVP. They knew that Caitlin Clark had an MVP type second half of the season. They didn't know how to justify it. But now it's all because, well, it's just like Joker. Joker could win it every year. It's the ones that's on the NBA TV that keep talking all the time. Well, Joker can't help it that he's dominant because nobody's really challenging him. We haven't seen MVP type from Giannis in a minute. Then you look at Shea Gilchrist. I mean, so, but you have Caitlin Clark there that's going to put, and now that she's like, well, she's trying to make excuses, say, well, Caitlin Clark is going to have a better roster to help her cause to win MVP. Come on, man. What are we doing right here? This is why I don't listen to them. This is why when they say something, some of the stuff they talk about, I really don't try to make videos over because, like the rankings, the preseason rankings for the Indiana Fever, they talked about, well, they what fifth best or whatever. They still got a long way to go on all of this stuff. I I'm not wasting my time with stupidity because when you apply stupidity over logic, that's what you get from Elle Duncan. That's what you get from Shanae Umake. That's what you get from Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharps, all of them, because they don't know what they're talking about. Now, when you apply logic over stupidity, and when you listen to people like Lisa Leslie and Rebecca Lobo, then it makes more sense to you. So, With that being said, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let me know what you think about Ellen's BS nonsense. Until the next episode, you know what it is.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.